Background. My husband has a friend, 33 male. They met at an old job and... Background. My husband has a friend, 33 male. They met at an old job and the friend, Mike, even had my husband as his best man when he got married to Abby, 30 female. After Mike and Abby had a baby, things went downhill and they got divorced. Things are still tense between Mike and Abby, but my husband has remained neutral and tried to be there for the baby at the very least. Abby and I hit it off pretty quickly when we met. The daughter became a niece to me as well. Abby even house sat for us on occasion. Knowing the history and relationship with my husband and Mike, she knew Mike would be invited to our wedding. She wasn't fond of it, but she seemed to respect our decision. After we got engaged, I asked her to be a bridesmaid and the daughter to be a flower girl. Both were very excited about it. Knowing that weddings were still a sensitive subject with Abby, I let her know that if she felt like she had to back out, I understood and we would still be friends. A few months later, though, Abby started getting more upset that he would be invited to the wedding. Knowing that Mike probably wouldn't be able to make it due to his work schedule, we assured her that he wouldn't be coming, but he would still do an invite. One day, we mentioned the daughter being our flower girl to Mike, and he was surprised. We had assumed that he already knew. I texted Abby right away to let her know that he now knew, but I thought it was weird that it hadn't been brought up yet. She responded with, "Is he invited to the wedding?" She knew he was. That had never changed. I answered, "Yes, you knew that already though." She didn't respond that night. The next morning we received a group text from her to my husband and I, telling us that she wouldn't be attending our wedding because he was invited. Also, that she couldn't believe we would do this to her, and she could no longer be friends with us because true friends would not put her in such a horrible situation. I told her that I respected her decision not to come to the wedding, but tried to encourage her that we could still be friends. At first, I thought she was just projecting her hurt from the divorce, and that she would come around. The next day she privately texted my husband that I had told her that I didn't love him anymore. Apologized to him for having to back out, for not being able to be there for him, and that he deserved so much better than me. He told her that she needed to apologize to me. At that point, I had had enough. I told her that she had crossed too many lines, and to send back our house key because she was no longer welcomed in our house or around us. She did send the key back, addressed only to my husband, and our past Christmas cards, everything in the bridesmaid proposal box, and a paper revealing a surprise for my upcoming bridal shower. All I was doing was honoring my husband's request that his friend be invited to the wedding. Am I the a-hole for kicking her out? Not the a-hole. You absolutely communicated with her the whole way through, it seems. It's one thing for Abby to not come to the wedding if she can't stand to be near Mike, but giving ultimatums is too far and selfish. Also, texting your husband that you don't love him after not getting what you wanted is absolutely unhinged. And sending back Christmas cards and ruining your bachelorette surprise. Homegirl needs to grow up. Not the a-hole. And honestly, you dodged not a bullet, but a grenade here. She tried multiple times to manipulate you by insisting she didn't know about Mike, even though you told her point blank multiple times. She tried to put a wedge between you and your husband by insinuating you don't truly love him. She spoiled to you your bridal shower surprise. Not the a-hole. She was kept informed every step of the way. Then she lied to your husband to try to break you up. Even taking the rest of it out, trying to break you up for revenge or spite is the absolute deal breaker. I hope you changed your locks though. If she made a copy of your key, she could cause more trouble down the line. I, as a 64-year-old man, want to start off by stating that I currently have stage 4 lung cancer, so I may not even have a year left to live now. To start off, my daughter, who is 30, and son, who is 26, both ended up with very different paths in life. Like the rest of women in our family, my daughter wanted to go to medical school and study to become a dermatologist, since she wanted to have a successful job no matter what, and that she loved studying about skin conditions as well. That meant that she was willing to do whatever it takes, for getting scholarships and to working multiple jobs, although I tried to help her pay her tuition as much as I can, to make that happen. So now she currently is working her dream job and making a very good living, about $250,000 a year, and very debt-free now, which is something that I'm very proud of her for. While my son decided to give up on going to further schooling, just so he can help aid his sick mother when her health heavily declined from leukemia around when our son was 14 and our daughter was 18. So in order to focus more on taking care of his now late mother, and then me after I got lung cancer, my son is completely focused on working only minimum wage jobs, just so that he can have more time to care for us. And even if I knew that he probably wanted to go to college, and I told him to not worry about us, my son was still so kind enough to focus more on us, so that his sister wouldn't be burdened with doing so, and simply because he loved us. Because I feel so grateful and responsible for him sacrificing so much for us, I decided to let both my children know that, when I die, my son is to keep the house, all the possessions that we have in the house, including our car, and 80% of whatever money that I have left, and hopes that he could eventually use it to go to college if he wanted to. and that my daughter can have the other 20% of the money, because I wanted to leave something, but didn't think that she needed the money that much since she has a well-paying job. For her to be left behind with many of her mother's possessions and whatever my son didn't want to inherit from me. Of course, I did expect my daughter to be somewhat upset about this, with her potentially believing that I'm favoring my son more than her, despite me trying to explain that I'm simply trying to pay back my son for all the help he gave me, and that I really don't favor him more than her. However, what I didn't expect is the rest of my family, especially the women, to call me aswell, and berating me for acting misogynistic, and that I was punishing my daughter for her success, when I only wanted to give back to my son for helping me and my late wife. Am I the a-hole, and should I reconsider splitting the assets of my will 50-50 before it's too late? Not the a-hole. I think your reasoning is sound, but I wouldn't phrase it as you paying him back for helping. Phrase it as because he put his life on hold to help, and that he needs an extra leg up now. This isn't about punishing her, but helping make sure they both have a chance at a good life. You are grateful you don't have to worry about her future, but this is about giving you peace of mind regarding his. Perhaps try to talk to her about what memory items she wants first, since he's getting the bulk of valuable possessions. Not the a-hole. Your son has put his life on hold for 12 years. He's definitely going to need a bit of help getting back on track. He's significantly behind his sister when it comes to making a decent wage. 4 years of school, 3 years of college, at least, before he'll be where she was at 7 years ago. At $250,000 a year, he's well behind financially. You're not punishing your daughter for her success. You're rewarding your son for his time and effort. You're the a-hole for not discussing this with him earlier. Did you have the means to care for your wife and encourage your son to get an education? If not, and you relied on his help, then you should have had a fair compensation conversation with both of your children long ago. Haha. My brother's fiancée, Emma, 25, and my brother, Jonathan, 27, were getting married. My brother's fiancée has 2 kids, 6 and 7, and they're both boys. Emma bought a wedding dress that was very expensive and wanted to brag it to the whole family. So she decides to display it in the middle of the kitchen where kids are horseplay. Honestly, just by the sound of that, it already is a disaster. Well, everyone was socializing and drinking. I was holding a glass of wine while talking to a childhood friend, when suddenly one of her kids runs into me, causing the wine to fling, and it got all over the wedding dress. Her kid got up and started to cry. Emma was furious and she cried. Everyone looked at me like I was at fault. My brother told me to leave. That night I was contemplating what had happened when I got a call from my brother. He sounded upset and was talking aggressively, demanding for me to pay for the damages I had caused. I told him why he's not blaming the kid. His excuse was, he's just a kid. Don't bring him into this. You did the damage and should take responsibility for it. I was shook and told him that he ran into me and asked him why I was getting all the blame. He then ended the call with, I don't care, just pay for the damage. Long story short, I called him back and explained to him that I will not be paying for the dress. He was angry and started shouting on the phone, saying I'm the biggest a-hole he had ever met for not taking responsibility for my actions. I then asked him what actions I caused, but he kept repeating himself, saying just to pay for the dress and we can forget about everything. I told him I will not be paying thousands of dollars because a kid was running around and ran into me, causing the wine to fling and stain the dress. Later that night, his wife called me and was angry, calling me names like coward, a-hole, etc. I was upset but didn't let my emotions take over me. I stopped her midway talking and asked where the idea of displaying an expensive white dress in the middle of the kitchen came from. She didn't answer the question and started to call me names again. I hung up and blocked her. After that, everyone in my family started contacting me. Mom, sister, brother, etc. They were all sending me text messages calling me a bad person. To end the conflict, I paid them $2,500. I regret doing it, but it's whatever now. The only thing that got me upset was that I don't understand why her child didn't get any part of the blame. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Who displays their wedding dress like that? Mine was locked in a closet in the garment bag until the very last minute. It's a dress that costs thousands of dollars, and you're just going to hang it out in a room that is known to have food and drinks passing around. This is 100% on your future sister-in-law, and that's even discounting the fact that it was their kid that ran into you, causing you to spill the drink. You are an absolute doormat to pay the money. Not the a-hole. I would have died on that hill. Lady puts on wedding dress in her kitchen, with her kids running around, wine flowing, and this is your fault? No, absolutely not. I'm the last person in the world to tell others to cut contact. On the contrary, I'm a kumbaya person. But no one gets to blame me for what was not my fault. Here the line must be drawn. If your family loves you, they'd forget all about it and consider it a minor accident. Crap happens kind of thing, not life or death. $2,500 to clean a dress? Don't wear it in the kitchen. People's stupidity should never demand access to your wallet. Obvious setup. She changed her mind on the dress and needed someone to pay for a replacement. Think about it, not the a-hole. Edit. Hey everyone, sorry for the typo. It's $1,500, not $2,500. I made a mistake. But if you wonder if I cut contact with everyone with my family, including her side of the family, yes, I did. I paid them $1,500, and they still weren't content because after they cleaned the dress was apparently not perfect like it was before. That was Emma's words. To this day, my brother still probably hates me, and also his wife, and probably the rest of the family. But it's fine. I'm living life and I love it. Edit 2. I just didn't hand them the money because I felt like it, y'all. I was guilt-tripped and was forced into paying them. Everyone wouldn't leave me alone unless I pay. They still wouldn't. I tried to ignore them as much as I can, but it's like the whole world thinks I'm the villain of the story. Well, my brother tried to contact me and reconcile, but I refused. I told him that he didn't even think about the hurtful stuff he said to me before letting them out. He's my brother, and I love him and always will. I forgive him, but that doesn't mean I'll ever talk to him or his wife. All the things they said will always leave a mark behind. I don't hold grudges and will never hold grudges, but that doesn't mean I'll forget the things they said. Even my own mother was on their side. Anyways, all of those are in the past now. I'm gonna keep living life happily. My fiancé and I have been together for a little more than a year plus. 2 months into the relationship, he and I found out together that we had a surprise child because the mom never told him she was pregnant, and her mom was the one to text him saying that her daughter was giving birth to his kid right at that moment, if he wanted to be there. We waited for a paternity test, and sure enough, 2 months after that, it was confirmed that he had a daughter. I never resented this and actually really liked her. I've never met the mom and don't plan on it for a while, so there is zero drama there. I hope watch her and raise her when we have her every Wednesday night and every other weekend. My issue is that 6 months into our relationship, I found out I was pregnant. Currently, I have about 6 weeks to go until I pop. I told him the other day that the week I go into labor and return home with him and our son, I don't want his daughter here for at least a week. I also said if I give birth in let's say a Thursday, I really don't want him to leave that weekend and go pick up his daughter. I feel like all of his attention would be elsewhere, and he'd have to be gone with her while I'm at the hospital. A few of my reasons is she's extremely fussy and can only be calmed down when being held by him 24/7. She's also a huge screamer. I also don't see how we're going to be able to get our newborn settled and him, my fiancé, be able to take care of our son if she needs constant care during her time here. Again, I love her, and have known her the same amount of time he's known her. I just don't know how it would work while I'm healing in stitches, and our son and his daughter are crying all at once. I won't mind the juggle once I'm more healed. He doesn't really seem to understand this, though, and he said he only sees half of my reasoning as valid. Am I the a-hole? I just feel as though I'm not even 1.5-year-old and a newborn would be too much all at once for at least the beginning stretch. Not sure how selfish I'm being, and maybe it's just my anxiety. I'm 21, and this is my first child myself, so I don't have anything to go off of, and just want all the uninterrupted support I have for at least the first week. Edit. To just explain myself a bit further, I'm getting a lot of people saying I'm not accepting her, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I myself was born of a one-night stand, and we almost broke up purely because I wanted him to focus solely on her. I love her, and when we get married, that is my daughter as well. I've been here the entire time helping raise her, and I think it's a bit presumptuous for people to think I'm asking him to pay attention to only my son and I. I only ask that the week I give birth, she stay with her mother that extra day or two, not give up for life. Edit 2. After reading everything, I saw this post reach a sort of consensus, but also ingesting the advice of maybe asking a family member to help. I went ahead with trying to talk to him about it again. It did not go well. He got pretty upset with me, and said he doesn't want to disrupt her schedule, and balancing 2 babies will be his cross to bear, and he will figure it out. Hearing that just stressed me out because I don't even want things to get bad enough to a point where we have to call for emergency help. I'm more of a plan beforehand, and have 3 backup plans type of person. He doesn't even want to set a plan up for someone maybe watching her if we need it, until it's an emergency at the time. I also don't really see it being unreasonable to want to have that attention on me and our child for that single week. As many said, my future stepdaughter has a support system of having 2 sets of grandparents and a biological mother that doesn't work. I don't really see the problem in asking that just for the first week, I have time to get settled and used to my new life. Another issue that I didn't bring up in the original post, but in the comments. He is about to leave on a 10-day trip halfway across the country while I'm heavily pregnant, and his daughter will be with her mom that entire time. I feel pretty put down knowing that it's okay in that situation for her to stay there, but while I'm literally healing from birth, I can't ask for a single week of peace and knowing everyone is being taken care of properly. His response was to ask me if I expected him to take her with him on his vacation, and of course I replied no. But I don't see how that's acceptable, but this isn't, and he said it's because it will be out of state, versus him being in the same state. He said it all rides on what actually happens, how the birth goes, what day of the week it is on, and if he deems he actually needs help. I just don't see our just turned 1-year-old, newborn, and me in the process of healing, being able to juggle all at once. I'm very torn. I understand his side and that he wants to keep the schedule they have set. It just hurts that it's okay to change the schedule when it benefits him. Also, the mom has asked multiple times throughout the year for us to watch the baby unplanned, or to keep her extra days. Sometimes for a family party, other times for medical reasons. I don't see why my medical reason is any less. I'm also just an emotional wreck now though, so I could be overthinking it. Not the a-hole. You're not telling your fiancé to get rid of his other child. You're asking for 1 week while you recover from childbirth and adjust to having the new baby. He has her on Wednesdays and every other weekend, so you're really only asking for 3 days, depending on timing. I don't think that's unreasonable. How is it any different from if he had to travel for work or something, and her mother needed to keep her for that whole week? Not the a-hole. It's not like Oki is asking to stop caring for fiancé's kid altogether. She just wants 1 week to settle down with the new baby, which doesn't seem that unreasonable to me. While you can't choose to just stop caring for one child over the other, you're also a new parent. As long as the little toddler will be cared for by her mom or other relative, then shouldn't just 1 week away be fine? You're the a-hole. If the other sibling was your bio child, you wouldn't send them away. My older child was 2 when my younger was born, and I would have been devastated if they had left unwanted after their sibling was born. They are already displaced enough by the birth of a sibling. Can't imagine a parent not wanting them around. Dog died. Dog.